Okay, so I find you just on my scrolling one evening, and you're showing how to actually do a pouchette because I love pouchettes with men, and I did it a completely different way. So at
Yeah,
the end, I'd like you to like do it again for me
sure.
because you moved a little quickly, and I was trying to show my husband when we were in La Coloniale and figuring it out. But
Thank God I wore one today.
you're very snappy.
Well, somebody's got to do it,
Yeah,
guys.
like
Somebody's got to do it.
you are not missing a beat. I'm kinda
Well,
like that too, though. I'm like,
anyway.
gotta have it all going on.
Yeah, why not? I travel a lot. I like to pick up things from, my travels and kind of incorporate them into the look. So that's what I do.
Were you raised in a fancy home?
Family farms and
Uh-huh.
then a home in town that, a very nice home. Yes.
Mhm.
Trying
Yeah,
to
no, I
be.
mean, so much of this, comes from your surroundings, and
Totally.
I'm totally, totally impressed with people who don't grow up in beautiful homes, who search for it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's one or the other because my, father was an antiques dealer,
Yeah.
and then my stepfather was a diplomat, and so I traveled a lot,
Oh,
and
yeah.
my eye was developed from a young age, and my mom loved beautiful clothes, and we lived in Berlin, and she would be take me to Pucci and show me Yves Saint Laurent
Yeah.
suit. I
Yeah.
was trained.
Right. Well, that's just in your DNA,
Yeah.
and it was in my DNA. With the farms, for instance, I would go out on the weekends and I would go visit grandparents. And rather than, I would get on a horse or whatever, but rather than go out in a field and just kind of be back to nature, I would sit inside. This is the days before the internet. So I would sit inside. My grandmother was very stylish, all these designer clothes and everything in the center of Kentucky. But she had a very successful father and sent her everywhere and all that. But she had all these stacks of magazines.
Mm.
And back in the day, it was Southern accents
Mhm.
and antiques and all that stuff.
Mhm.
That's what I would do. And here I was the only grandson, only son. Everybody's pushed me toward going into family banking and all that. And it's like, okay, whatever. I really want to be an architect. I was making scale models at age 7 with no engineer in the family, no architect in the family. How I did it out of poster board,
Mm.
and knew how to read a scale. I mean, do you
Mm.
know what I'm saying when I say a scale? They're
Not
ki they're
really.
kinda hard to read. I mean, it's like a
Oh,
quarter-inch scale,
uh-huh.
and if you build it, it's like an exact miniature in proportion to a regular house. I would build buildings and homes like that
Oh.
and had nobody teaching me how to do that. It was just innate. I could draw in perspective starting at age 7, like a room. And I can now in 5 minutes do a whole room in perspective.
So, but you are a designer, not an architect,
Oh,
correct?
I'm a design, but I have to say, my company when I started it, we had architectural design. We did the blueprints in house. We did the
Oh, okay.
construction in house. We were the largest builder in Louisville,
Mm.
and then interior design. And then I started doing it all over the country. And then in I think about 2012, I said, "Why am I not doing the construction all over the country?" So I was in YPO's Young Presidents Organization
Mhm. Yeah, I know about
with a
YPO.
dear friend, and he had the state's largest commercial building company. So we started an LLC, and he was licensed in all 50 states.
Mm.
So this was going to be great. Well, then I realized there's not enough of me to go around. So after a couple of years, it's like I can't be zipping to Connecticut and down to Maine. I can't. And to do that, you have to scale it. You have to
Mhm.
do 10, 20 homes at a time.
Right.
I can decorate 10 or 20 at a time. But
Really?
oh yeah, I
Mm.
always have. I've always had between 20 and 40 active decorating jobs going at one time.
Mm.
And that comes from me being stupid and not growing up in the industry and not knowing what you could and couldn't do and not knowing my limitations. My office manager I hired had 20 years in the business before I hired her. And she said, after she was with me 4 years, she said, "I didn't want to tell you, but we never had the volumes you had, and we didn't think it was possible for one person to generate that." And she said, "But I didn't want to squelch you because you had nothing to compare it to because you didn't
Mhm.
grow up in the industry." So I just kept thinking you had to have between 20 and
I mean,
40.
I don't know, Suzanne Castler or Melanie Turner or Beth
Yeah.
Webb. I don't know what an average running amount of projects is. I do believe that when you all are really good, you really know all the fabricators, and I mean, I am not a decorator. However, I've done some houses. You do begin to get a formula
Yeah,
in your
you
mind of
do.
like what needs to happen. And I know that Suzanne Kassler, my sister, who's a designer, worked for her, and they would work very closely with the architects because they said architects don't really understand how people live.
They don't.
Designers know how people live. So they would go in and tweak rooms
Yeah,
and make homes more livable,
right.
um, because people live very differently today than they did even when I was born. Um, People don't spend as much time in their homes.
No, you're right.
We're going out.
Yeah,
I mean, I spend a tremendous amount of time in my bedroom.
yeah.
And
It's your nest.
are all women like this?
I think some men are like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my bedroom. I love my office. My office is like a sanctuary. You wouldn't believe this. I have a European bed. Oh my God, what is the French word for it? Oh God, a la polonaise. With the whole draping and all that. I
That's in
sit.
your office?
It's in my office because if I need a nap, you know, it's nice to know that you can do that. Now, I never take a nap, but I'm pretty self-indulgent. I mean, I'll open up a bottle of champagne in the middle of the day if I think I need it, if it's been a good day. Or I just kind of do what
Well,
it
you
takes
know
to
what I
make Lee
get from
happy.
you
What's
is
that?
that you enjoy life and you want to take a big bite out of it.
Yeah.
My husband is in finance and he is not ruled by that. He is ruled by discipline, duty,
Yeah.
no joy.
Yeah. Well, guess
I've
what? That
I've
was
had to
me.
bring joy.
That was me when I was a banker. I was always directed to go down that path, the family path of business. Our family was in insurance and banks, and my grandmother's family had newspapers and, all sorts of things. And as the only grandson, only son, I lost my father and two grandfathers within 2 years. And I was
Wow.
24.
Oh, and were they miserable men?
Well, no, they were very successful men. The problem is they left two grandmothers who had never worked a day in their life and were, Luck's life, and a mother and a sister who had never worked a day in their lives. And I'm kind of in control of that at age 24.
Oh, you felt responsible for
Felt
them.
responsible for everything. And I'm
But
living
they
in
left them
Louisville.
with money, but you're like, the money's going to run
Yeah,
out.
well, yes, but I was kind of in charge. No, I
Right.
wasn't saying the money was going to run out, but it's like, they didn't know what to do. So I kind of felt like I had to take responsibility for that.
Oh.
And as a result, I'm in Louisville, the biggest city in the state where my wife is from. They're out in the central part of the state around Lexington, the bucolic, beautiful horse farms and all that stuff. And it was a real, I guess, guilt trip. I didn't know what to do. I chose not to move back there. The banks ended up selling to PNC and different things like that. And things move on. And then I decided, at an early age in my mid 30s, that what am I doing banking? After, all the banks sold and everything else, I said, I'm going to
But you're living
retire.
in New York at the time?
I decided to retire. They had a retirement party for me. And I moved to New York and studied at Christie's and Parsons. I was an economics and management major and a studio art minor because I could always draw and sculpt and all that. So I moved to New York, studied at Christie's and Parsons. We had two children at the time. My wife would come up with the kiddos. And because we had the Kentucky Derby in Louisville, we'd entertained everybody from New York for years, all the family, friends, and buddies and stuff. So I would have the best time in the city during the week. And on the weekends, I'd go out to like Kykut. We had a friend, Ingrid Rockefeller, that we had had down for Derby. So we go out there to their place and swim and, hang out at the play. I mean, it was just wonderful. Go to the Hamptons, all the things you can't do if you're in Kentucky.
Right.
And Babs would bring the kids and stuff. And then, so I moved back after that and I bought, I think it was 5 companies, merged them all together because I thought the business model, still being a businessman, thought the business model was put it all under one roof, be able to draw the blueprints, build it, and decorate it. That way I'm in control of everything because I had dealt with a lot of architects. They have egos like I have an ego. But when I design something, what I say goes. So that's why I wanted it all in-house. So for years we had it in-house. And now I still manage the entire project, charge a fee for that. So the architect still works for me and the builders I hire and still work for me. And the clients are out of it.
Well, I get the sense that you're sort of selling an old money sort of historical look.
It's interesting. people, I guess, I don't want to say we're confused by that. That's kind of what put me on the map because that's the way I live.
Mm-hmm.
Babs and I live in her family's sixth generation home. Our
Mm.
kids are the sixth generation
Mm.
in that house. The house was designed by Ogden Codman. It was the only house, Ogden Codman, who wrote the Decoration of Houses with Edith Wharton,
Mm.
the Bible of interior design.
Right.
But he was a big architect in New York and Newport. So everything he did was for the Vanderbilts, Rockefellers, all that group, Newport and New York. But Babs's family, Louisville was the 10th largest city in the nation in 1900. So her family owned railroads, banks, and they invented ready mix paint. So as a result, they had offices in New York.
Mm.
As a result, they were in with August Belmont and the Vanderbilts on railroads and different things. So they would take trips to Newport, trips to New York, and be in New York all the time. And they were all educated, Vassar, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they learned about Ogden Codman. So they hired him to design our house. That's why it's the only one, and it's kind of known for being the only one outside of the East Coast. And then Olmsted did all of our property, and we at one time lived on 3 square miles
Mm.
inside the city, right in the middle of the city. The country club's on it now, and it's over time been developed. But we're still on 15 acres of Olmsted formal gardens overlooking the river, left over from the Gilded Age in Louisville when it was a big city, 10th largest city. So it's changed.
Have you read Anderson Cooper's books?
Yes. Yeah.
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 My stepfather was from Providence, and he was a very old-fashioned person, even for his age.
Right.
And he was, member of the Metropolitan Club and had my sisters and I in the social register.
Yeah.
However, the money had all run out by the time that we were in his life, and he was obsessed that we were on this social register and all that stuff. And so I loved reading Anderson Cooper's book to understand
Right.
where the social register came from, those original 400
Yeah.
in New York
Caroline Astor.
at Caroline Astor's house.
Yep.
And I was like, you still sense a little bit of that on the Upper East Side when you're
Yeah,
visiting.
You do.
However, New York is like shit now.
It's so different.
It's so different.
You go up there, the vibe, and I'm in clubs up there, and I just went to a big party, and I'm talking to everybody about, the changes I see in the street, Madison Avenue drying up, and Bergdorf, no good. It sucks.
It's not like it used to be.
It's not. Well, because it's owned by Neiman's, and Neiman's is owned by Saks. And, the only reason anybody's buying any of those three, it's for the real estate in New York. There's nothing else to buy. I mean, Neiman's, it's just a shell of what it was. I love them. I'm supporting them. But go on Madison Avenue. The stores that used to be 2 and 3 storefronts, wide are just teeny now. And I just got back from, this summer I went to Paris. I've been in Rome. I just got
It's
back
all
from,
the same.
Yeah, London. It is the same, but they're still more vital. There's a bigger crowd. London is packed.
Yeah, I haven't been to
Packed.
London in many years.
Oh, my God. It was packed. I was just there in August. Paris was packed. Rome is
Rome always busy.
Yeah, it's always busy, but it was about the same as it used to be. But Barcelona was packed. But it's like it's like having a Walmart in every small town. Now you go to every big city and they've all got Gucci,
Louis
Pucci,
Vuitton.
Fiorucci. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, and
That's why I like the new quiet luxury.
Yeah.
That's why it's all about the textile. It's all about, just like this ring from Prince Dimitri
It's
with
so
the diamonds
beautiful.
and rubies on the inside.
Yes.
No one knows it's there but me.
Yeah. It's, and even Hermes now, to me, I'm like, it's so commercialized, and everybody, and a lot of people I know who are really fancy people carry a fake Birkin. Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell the difference, and who's going to spend
Why would
30,
anybody
40,
spend
50?
that?
I mean, like, buy a
Crazy.
piece of art, for God's
Exactly.
sakes. Like,
Exactly.
ugh.
They've gotten everyone into this trick bag, and it's kind of like the way Louis Vuitton used to be years ago. And I go in our house, we've got old Louis Vuitton trunks that Bab's great grandparents
Now that's cool.
would take with the monograms
Yeah.
on it, and Goyard.
I want Goyard. I want a
And
Goyard.
we have old Goyard trunks that are this tall. And
Oh
it's
my
like,
God. I love it.
But they were considered a luggage company. The thought of her great grandmother or grandmother wearing a purse that made their luggage, it's not cool.
No.
It wasn't cool. I mean, they had all these lovely things that were handmade, like for the queen,
Yeah.
good leather,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
smooth leather, and crocodile and all that.
Well, I just
It's
like,
just different.
I think the thing is, I always like my husband wears really beautiful custom suits because he plays hockey and he's kind of an odd shape. So he can't like, he's muscular. He can't just go in and just buy something off the rack.
Yeah.
And so he dresses really well. But then on the weekends, I say he's wearing his January 6th outfits, the hoodies and the
I
whatever.
love it. I love it.
And that like he'll order all this shit from Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do we need so many things that aren't nice? Like,
know.
let's just have 2 or 3 nice
I
things.
know.
But I'm a victim of it too. Like, I'm giving him shit. But then, like, my closet is lined with shoes and things
I
because
totally get it.
it's hard not to consume when you love pretty things. But it is, this store right across from Bill Bouquet, Don Purcell,
Yeah.
you should go in there and look
Oh,
for your
well.
wife because he used to run Jeffrey, which closed when
Yeah.
Nordstrom bought it. And he started this jewelry store and my husband bought me
That is
this
cool.
ring
I love
for
that.
our anniversary. And it's really hard to find things. And this, like your ring, I got to show you this. Look on the inside of it.
Oh my God.
Isn't that so
I
cool?
love it.
And you can
Intaglio.
flip it, but I haven't figured out how to
Get
do it yet.
out.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Okay, that is right down
That's
here.
right here.
I'm going.
You need to tell them that Sarah sent you
Don't
because
you worry.
because I don't remember the name of the designer and they'll show
Yeah.
you. But if people would slow down, and I think that's why someone like yourself is so important. I haven't spent a lot of time in Kentucky. I've been to Bowling Green, Kentucky years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been through Louisville, but I get the sense I'm born originally in Baltimore. So
Yeah.
horse country is
Yeah.
always really beautiful.
But
and
that's
people's-
more Lexington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And kind of outside of Louisville. But yeah, there's a whole separate private Kentucky. You'll have to come.
Yeah.
You'll have to come. The Derby's not like it used to be, but I just got back from Keeneland a couple weeks ago. And Keeneland is still like it used to be.
Where's that?
That's in Lexington.
Oh, it
it's
is.
stone. It's ivy covered. It is like racing used to be. It reminds you of Ascot. It's just English and wonderful.
And so tell me about, I'd love to talk to people who do homes about what your clients are asking for. What are special things that are happening in your world that are newer or specific?
You know what I love, and it's kind of the way this is kind of evolved, but what is so nice is it's one of a kind things with my clients. I have found 75% of my business is out of town, where when I started the business, 100% was in Louisville. And then I went through, I think I told you before we started the podcast that, I went through this phase where I was in New York all the time, 1 week of every month.
And are those Louisville people who have an apartment in New York? No.
No. I'm
Okay.
doing 2 homes in Beverly Hills that are producers. I've got a penthouse in Miami, 2-story penthouse. It's fabulous. I just got back from going to England with one client that has an English country house and bought a horse farm in Kentucky. And, I've got people that are affiliated with the Caterpillar family in Peoria, all these places, Swanee, places you would not even dream of. So it's kind of evolved. You got to remember now, I've been doing this 20 some odd years. So it's evolved into where it's no longer people that say, oh, go to High Point and get me a Century sofa. It's not that anymore. And I like that because guess what? You can sit at home and get online and find the Century sofa. Well, how in the world, somebody's always going to be going out of business and selling it cheaper. I'm not selling, I don't push product. I push experience. It's all about the experience. I mean, when my clients deal with me, they get a personally engraved letters from Smyson with, engraved, everything is done right when they come over. It's champagne, it's whatever wine you want to stock it. I make it a nice experience.
Well, Bobby McAlpine talked about that
Yeah.
some of the people that were hiring him to design a house, there have been several experiences where a person maybe gets diagnosed with cancer and
Yeah.
that he thinks, oh, the project's going to end. And the person is like, no, I'm seeing this through because it's an experience. I mean, to
It
be
is.
able to hire somebody like you to do a house top to bottom
Right.
is utterly, in my opinion, trumps private jets. And I'm sure people with private jets do that too.
Yeah.
However, to really cultivate your space to speak to you and have beauty around you, is such a privilege.
It is a privilege, and that's why, every job I do, if you look on my website, every job I do is tailored to each individual client.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
tell me about
true
that when you meet with them.
it's truly a custom experience. I started years ago, I had my look, the English country house look, and this was back in the, 2001, whatever. And that's kind of what put me on the map. I started getting the Kip Space Show houses and Hampton Show. I've done all the national houses, Evelyn Lauder Holiday House in New York and the old Woolworth Mansion, all that stuff. But then I came up with this idea as I had these big volumes all over the country for people that wanted to get on my website and figure out what to do. I have 3 children with very unique family names. So the oldest one is Walker McDowell Robinson, after Ephraim McDowell, who's a great Kentucky, big
Tell me all
history
their
with that.
names. I want to hear.
Walker McDowell Robinson. Walker, my great grandfather, did the Walker Foxhound.
Mhm.
So, and then Ephraim McDowell, his sculpture or statue is up in the Capitol in D.C. And he did the first first surgery west of the Alleghenies. So, and that was in Kentucky. And then the second child is Thruston Rhodes Robinson.
Love it.
And good old Louisville family name Thruston. We had Cinder Thruston Morton. And then you've got Rhodes. My wife's maiden name was Rhodes. And then the youngest is Owsley Cox Robinson. And the park right below our house is named Cox Park, which was the family gave it to the city.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his middle name. And then Owsley is Governor Owsley, who was governor of Kentucky.
Mm.
And then, the same governor of Kentucky had 2 daughters. One married Mr. Brown of Brown Foreman that does Woodford Reserve and Jack Daniels and all that. And the other is Babs's great grandfather. So anyway, so lots of good Kentucky history. But as a result, I started 3 lifestyles for each. And each one of them had their own room fragrances, the McDowell fragrance, the McDowell paint line, the Thruston fragrance, the Thruston paint line, the Owsley fragrance, the Owsley paint line, and they each had a look. The Owsley lifestyle was a Park Avenue look. The Thruston was Soho chic, hip, modern, more like California. And then the McDowell lifestyle was hunt country, very Anglophilic, Ralph Lauren kind of look. And that was all great. That was fine and dandy. And then I realized still 70% of my business would come from the custom clients that wanted me to come in and do their own personal look. Like I can do brutalism. Who would think that I can do brutalism living in an Ogden Common house with 6 generations of family?
Well,
old
you're
masters
educated and you've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. And anybody can do it.
Yeah.
My mentor, Sarah McNeil Fio, I bought her company. She's now deceased, but she was an AD and stuff for years, very well known nationally. She said, all things of quality work.
Yes.
That was the best advice she'd ever given.
No, it's true. And I like it intermixed.
Yeah.
That's really more how I do my house. Like I can appreciate any style, but I love to mix a little bit, but
Right.
everything has to be like good.
Everything of quality. That's why contemporary art can work in the frick.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And our
Mhm.
house is like a mini frick with the marble
Wow.
steps and all that stuff, and the black,
Love it.
and the limestone block walls. And so, really, but if you throw contemporary art in there, it still lets people know you're breathing and living,
Right.
and kind of hip and with it.
Yeah.
But every client's house is different. That's why everybody sees me as kind of a luxury. I mean, I will literally take it down to the hand towels. I will pick everything, even come up with a custom room fragrance. Again, with Babs's family inventing ready mix paint and Louisville being the paint capital of the world, that's why I had my own paint line at one time.
Mm.
So I'm thinking about bringing that back out again, where there will be your own private paint palette for your own house that nobody else will have.
Oh.
And these are the things that I'm trying to integrate with my social media presence, and then I'm going to be able to do it online through Shopify and things like that. So that's kind of my goal.
You're very industrialist. I mean,
You have to be a business background.
yeah, but I mean, that probably really helps you in business
It does.
because,
It's all about scaling.
yes.
And I can't scale. I can only be so many places at once. But yet my products, can go other places. And not everybody has to pay me $1 gazillion to do their house. You can also have my
Well, and I'm sure
look for
being
less.
that you're a businessman, I'm sure a lot of business people hire you who are really good with money. And, I think that I would believe that anybody such as yourself, like there are ways to do a home really beautifully where certain things cannot be cheap, but
Yeah.
not everything needs to cost $1 zillion. So
You're
they're going to
exactly
be
right.
like, they're going to want sometimes to say, okay, this is my budget, and
Yeah.
you're going to have to figure it out. And
Well, you know what I've done, and this is, I think, probably one of the most brilliant things I've ever done. Not that I've ever done anything brilliant, but this one has served me well. Is I've taken the smoke and mirrors out of the industry. I've always been transparent on pricing. I
Mhm.
charge so much a square foot
Mhm.
for the house. So if someone just says, "Okay, I've only got X dollars this year, would you do the living room and dining room?" I'll do that.
Yeah,
But most people end up saying, "Do the whole house."
right.
So I charge X dollars a square foot, and then I charge cost plus 70 on product. So I can take them to Paris flea market with me. I can take them to High Point, anywhere. Turn the tag over, you know what you're going to be paying.
Right.
They love that. And the
Yeah.
husbands love it. The wives, if they're the ones, the breadwinner, they love it.
Mhm.
And I don't have to hide anything, and I don't have to do double talk. Our industry was made, it was too loosey goosey.
It is. And, being, having a sister who's an interior designer and going to ADAC, and there was all this trickery
Yeah.
going on in
I
there.
don't like it at all.
Still, they said it's like open to the public now. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't care. Just let me, this is just all this trickery is like stupid.
It's
Nobody
nuts.
cares.
People will pay.
Yeah. It's
know
not a
you have to
matter of
make
the money.
money.
Just like, let me have it. Let me see it. Let me take the
Yeah.
sample.
Yeah.
So, but what are people like? I think about my bedroom all the time because I live in a house that I didn't design.
Yeah.
And I think, now, if I could design a home, how would my bedroom be? Because like I said, like if I'm home at the house by myself and I live in a 9,000 square foot house, I
Yeah.
come in the door, I make myself some tea, a little cheese and crackers, and I go right to my bedroom.
Yeah.
I am not sitting in the living room by myself. But I think to myself, well, maybe I could have like a little living room in my bedroom, and then I could have a little meditation room,
Uh-huh.
and then I would have an area maybe that would be not necessarily a workout room, but like a place for me, and then obviously a nice closet. And what are people asking
So
for?
to your point, why do you think closets have become such a key focal point in houses nowadays?
Because it's the womb.
It's they go in there, they can sit on this wonderfully tufted mohair velvet, whatever, in the middle of the floor. They can look around at everything they're acquiring. They can figure things out, or sometimes there'll be a fabulous chaise over in the corner. They'll sit there, they'll thumb through their iPad or their magazines or whatever, and it's their place where they go, they recuperate, and it just kind of nourishes them. I also, not only am I doing really elaborate closets, but I'm doing very elaborate spa type bathrooms,
Mm,
with saunas and with massage nooks and
right.
just all these wonderful spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to tell you, we all think we're not fancy, but guess what? We're all getting massages.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're busy, you got a masseuse that'll come to the
Yeah,
house.
we do.
It's not crazy.
And it's not even, it's less than a fancy
It's
spa
not
for them to
crazy.
come to your house, and it's in your house.
I'd rather them come to the
Yeah.
house. And I've got people that will have a chair like in a beauty parlor,
I know.
and I think that's fine.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're a celeb.
Yeah, exactly. And you can make it look wonderful. And it doesn't have to be huge. Because I've got a lot of people that have these old family homes, and it's like, how do I do all that? Well, you take some of these old service rooms that no one has lived in and all that anymore, and you just reorganize things.
Yeah.
And you make it cool.
Yeah.
And I've done 2-story pantries, with the staircase and the mezzanine around in the pantries. To me, it's about having your storage lined out. But in your bedroom, have a closet that's got all the storage lined out. Have a functionized space for everything. I believe in functionality.
Mm.
Place for the spa, place for the clothing, place in the bedroom if you're going to watch TV or whatever. Maybe you don't want to do it in bed. Maybe you have a little sitting area. I do mini bars in bedrooms that are discreetly hidden behind, wonderful doors that I design that have mirror on them or whatever, or behind a mural. And, just a little bar with a little fridge, because sometimes you just want a little wine at 9 or 10. Whatever it takes, honey, to get through life. Life's tough these days. So, and you can stick a little caviar in there, and just before you know it, you got your own little party.
Have you been to the caviar restaurant at the Mark?
At the Mark, let's see.
It's Caspia, I think is the name of it. At the Mark Hotel.
I
in New
love
York.
the Mark Hotel, yeah, and the bar and everything. But wait, I'm trying to think. Jean George has the restaurant. Where's
You
the
can enter
caviar?
it. It's not Jean George. That's when you go into the hotel.
Yeah.
It's on the left, but you enter on the exterior part of the
Oh,
Mark.
it's where they sell the hot dogs on the street.
Probably
Yeah.
right there.
I have not been in it, to
Well-
answer your question. No,
Yeah, and
but I love the Mark, and I'm in the bar more than I should be. But
well,
whatever.
you know, I love just that's what I do love about New York
Yeah.
is like the sophistication of the restaurants
But
and
even this is changing. Okay, have you been to Bimmelman's at the Carlisle recently?
no.
They now charge a cover and they have people waiting in line. It's like, I'm
No.
never doing that.
Yeah.
But you know why they do that? Because you used to go in there and look what's sitting at every stool at the bar. They're attractive ladies, but we know what they do for a living. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
is
Without
that
saying it. Anyway.
yeah.
So now I just go in the gallery over at the Carlisle and just hang out there
Have
and
you
order.
watched the documentary on the
Oh
Carlisle?
yeah, that's great.
Isn't that
I love
great?
that. I
Yeah.
used to know the African American gentleman that had the
That
sweet stutter, Mr. Owsley.
yes.
Think of the name. My youngest child is Owsley.
Yeah.
He was from Kentucky, Mr. Owsley, the
Oh,
concierge.
yeah.
And he kept always kidding me. He's, I think, dead now. But he said, we're cousins somehow or another. And I said, whatever. I'm sure we are. I'm sure
Well,
we
tell
are.
me about your children. Did your children go into your business?
This is so funny. My children, we've been blessed where everybody can have their own dream and go for it. So
And do they go for it?
they go for it. The youngest, who's 25, Owsley, is out. He went to school in New York City, studied acting, but he was there during COVID. So
Mm,
as a result, he could not audition for anything on Broadway.
mm.
They didn't have one live performance at his school. And he had done, stage door manner, all these things, nationally before that. He'd been in so many things. So he, after he graduated, he said, forget New York. I'm not doing that. I'm moving to LA. So he moved to LA
Mhm.
and he just finished writing at age 25 an 8 episode series that's going to be on Tubi. And he wrote it, he co-produced it, and had the starring role in it. And with people like Charlene Tilton and Jessica Dalbo and all these people.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought for sure, until he's 30, he'd be starving artist type. He just kind of got lucky and it hit. So he's gone for his passion.
Okay.
And that's in the entertainment industry. The middle child, Thruston Rhodes, goes by Rhodes because none of the nurses in the hospital could pronounce Thruston when he was born.
Yeah. And
They
it's a
called him
little, it's
Thuster and-
beautiful, but it's old school.
Yeah, it's old school. They were
Mhm.
calling him Thuster and everything else. So we said, no, he'll be Rhodes. But he is in Palm Beach selling real estate, and he was just listed in the 40 under 40 to know doing that. So we sell one house in Palm Beach. I mean, God
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah.
We have a place down there, and I'm telling you, it's about to, when New Yorkers come down, that's going to be it. And
Well,
they're
they
gonna
already
come,
have.
but they're coming. I mean, more
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
with changes that are going on. I mean, that's all I heard. I was just down there a week ago, and everybody's talking about it. All their friends are looking, and all the realtors are nuts.
Well, I mean, I'm not a Trumper. However, I am much more conservative than I thought I would because I think both parties have gone kind of extreme. But, when I was in New York, I made my husband ride the subway because he would never ride the subway. And I'm like, grew up, I went to New York. So I'm like,
Yeah,
this is efficient. Like, I know you think it's gross, but come on, do it. And, and
but
I
it
mean,
is gross.
it is gross. But
I'm
I
sorry.
kind of like to ride the subway though, and then go into Bergdorf's or go
Yeah,
to someplace Cipriani or whatever, and
Yeah.
kind of really have that gritty experience. But anyway, back to your third child.
yes. Third child is Walker McDowell. He lives in Charlotte, and his wife is in Charlotte. She's from Charlotte, and they have a baby. So he works with a company that is based in Silicon Valley, and they came up with the software that handles all these municipalities all over the country. These little county governments
Mhm.
handles their municipal bonds and handles their real estate that the counties own and things like
So
that.
finance, sort of.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So he kind of so they've all got different sides of the brain working, but they're all doing their passion.
And so, how did you, living such like a beautiful, fancy life and going really into that? How did you get kids that would work?
Well, I just always try to be a good example. To be honest, when I retired at 35, I didn't know what I was going to do. Maybe I wasn't going to work. I don't know.
Mhm.
But then I realized I do like to enjoy myself, and I better get that discipline back because I've seen it happen with too many friends
Mhm.
hanging out at a country club or
Yeah.
something like that. And I'm not a golfer, and I don't
You
play
get
tennis
sloppy.
anymore. And you get sloppy before you know it, things change. So I wasn't going to let that happen. So they
Mhm.
always saw me hitting it and hitting it hard
Yeah.
because I was always type A plus plus. So I think that being an example was probably good for them.
Mhm.
Now they knew that they were blessed and certain things, but we kept a lot of things hidden and secret from them. So they didn't always know what their future could look like. So, and I told them all, I said, I want you to have fun. Be well traveled. We let them go on trips, do anything they
Yeah.
want, but find themselves.
Yeah.
And I think they each kind of did that.
Yeah, that's lucky, because they were talking this morning um, about so
Yeah.
Tina Brown was saying that the monarchy is just done, and that the monarchy, they love to hang out with people who are really doing things and making money, but apparently, like, there's no real money left compared when you see these .coms and
Oh, yeah.
everything, and that
Yeah. Yeah.
Williams wants to go in and like
Purge
clean
everything.
house.
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated, like we talked about reading Anderson Cooper's books,
Right.
because I grew up with a stepfather who was at the end of the line,
Yeah.
and his kids all went to the best schools, but not really industrial people. Like they were not industrious, they were not workers.
Yeah.
And how do you give kids a life but create that grit?
Well, I think also it's aspirational. I think if you always include kids in your life, like we did have live-in help. So we would, go out on the weekends and Olamay would stay on the weekends and then Jenny would be there during the weeks. But we would take the kids with us to a lot of things, like when we would go to New York and stuff, and we would meet with our friends and they would see how those friends lived. And then they would go to the Hamptons with us and they would see how things are in the Hamptons. Now, I don't know many people that took teenage kids, like maybe 10, 11, 12,
Mhm.
to the Hamptons and Newport and all those places, but they grew up going to the Breakers in Palm Beach. They saw that we were not the only people,
Right.
that you have to keep the ball rolling if you're going to keep that stuff.
If you want it.
I mean, we're lucky because my wife's grandmother was an only child of only children, and they were all females.
Mm.
So nothing had been divided. That's why we still have all these paintings and,
Mhm.
all the stuff, the trappings. But, a lot of these people, like the Vanderbilts, how many descendants did they have? It can only last so long. Each generation has to contribute,
Right.
and keep that stockpile there, but don't live past the income.
Yeah, I mean,
And a lot of
I
them,
think the best thing you can do in this day and age, being somebody who sells real estate, if you want to help your kids,
yeah,
help them with a home,
exactly.
because that is the best thing. But don't be filling up their debit cards and
Mhm.
just like giving them money to not work and hustle.
That's right.
And I'm always thinking about that because my mom wasn't really from money. She wasn't spoiled, but she went to Berkeley and London School of Economics and she
Yeah.
traveled and lived in Beirut before I was
She
born.
lived the life.
She lived the life.
Yeah.
And so she was strict with us.
Yeah.
And she would marvel at my stepfather, how the kids had all this education, but no hustle.
Yeah.
So she would push us and I'm trying to do that with my son, but it's hard sometimes. Like, we do want to spoil them a
Well, I'm
little
going to
bit.
tell you another thing. My wife, I have to hand it to her. I mean,
She must be good.
the word vulgar, she would not let those kids, and they're 3 boys, but she would let them know if they're doing something that she considered vulgar. You would never talk about money at a table. You would there's certain things you wouldn't do. She didn't like status symbols for any of them.
Right.
I mean, she'd rather go buy them Laura Piana cashmere than let them wear a shirt with a polo horse on it.
Uh-huh.
And she said, no double G's, when all the kids were wearing all these these velour things at their private school. And she said, no, that's just, it's vulgar, it's tacky.
Yeah.
And she instilled them with, I guess, this just old blue-blooded class that, even I didn't do because I still liked my creature comforts, but I was never into status symbols either, really. It's about comfort. It's all about comfort. She wanted them to be extremely comfortable.
And what about longevity and quality?
That's it.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, it's like
Buy
these
well the
labels
first
like
time.
Dior, Gucci, whatever. Luckily, it seems like they're kind of going out of that.
Yeah.
But it was all about stamp it with a label.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like
then
made in
change it every
China.
year where you
Yeah.
have to go buy the
Yeah.
latest thing.
Yeah.
She always hated that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Worth dresses from her grandmother and
Oh, I
great-grandmother and
remember
all this
Worth.
stuff. Babs will still throw on a Prada suit or something that's 15 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you buy it right,
Mhm.
it never goes
And
out of
that's
style.
back to interiors. That
Yeah.
my best friend lives in Switzerland, and her grandmother was quite fancy and had a house in Stade and in Washington. And her grandmother said, if you do a house properly once,
Right.
you never have to do it again. However, I did love hearing from other designers and architects about living to how it relates to your life today.
Yeah.
So there is some reshuffling. However, a lot of those pieces can be reworked and
Well,
reused.
and what I like too is the word used. You have to use everything. I mean, I think you can. I like to walk into a house and not see decayed elegance, but to see a house that's lived in. I like to see photos. Black and white photos I prefer.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I love to see that. I like down cushions that are overstuffed. I even like slip covers put on in the summer.
Yeah.
I like it. We sit a glass down on any table. I don't care if it's marquetry or if it's, oyster burl walnut. We use everything.
Yeah.
And you just do, and you break things.
So
And
no plastic on the furniture?
no plastic over furniture, no plastic. And the rugs, they get, if you have an Oriental rug that's been in the family 100 years, what are you going to do? Throw it out? No, you use it, but you take care of it.
Right.
But I don't like these people that treat things so preciously. Life is what's precious. The other things are things.
Yeah.
They're just things.
But it is funny because back to architecture and rooms, I mean, I have a front room, living room, and it's my pretty room, and it has all the I've just really discovered the Copenhagen Glass Company.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
love their things, and so things that I would be nervous, but I sit in there when I entertain, but I don't like too many rooms that aren't used.
Yeah.
And I think that is an art to figuring out. Although I don't love the open concept.
I hate the open
Yeah,
concept.
I don't. I'm like, just give me a galley kitchen, really, frankly, when I'm
Yeah.
older, because it's so I'm a neat freak. So then it's just, you can't hide anything.
No, I know.
So are there any things before we finish that you
Mhm.
think in terms of architecture that are I know we talked about the closets and the spa room and anything, but the general walking into a home, what is your ideal space?
I always think a foyer is a great first impression.
Mhm.
I love that. And I also think one rule is so that things don't look contrived and they don't look like you take it too seriously. If you're dealing with quality, I like a high-low factor.
Me too.
Like I like to go light a fire, and then Babs had this elegant cousin. She was the most elegant older lady. She'd be 110 now if she were living. She used to take Cheetos and put them in one of those old brass 200-year-old chestnut warmers by the fireplace, put it over the fire, and people would clamor to go to her house for an invitation because she'd serve those then on this sterling silver, bowl that just heated up Cheetos. But it was so damn elegant.
Right.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
And like Graber olives, we used to just take the can of Graber olives, put them in the refrigerator, chill them, pour them in a bowl, and they were the most succulent olives. They've gone out of business, but anyway. But just simple things. It
Mhm.
doesn't always have to be the best of the best.
Right.
Who are you trying to impress?
Yeah,
It's
well-
about impressing yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, some people like us like pigs in a blanket.
I love pigs in a blanket. And one of my wife's favorite things she makes are little Waverly crackers with bacon wrapped around them. You put them on this pan, and it's like, Babs doesn't cook for part. We have caterers, but she will make this one thing, and people just go nuts over them. And they should come out shaped like a figure eight, where the bacon kind of, makes the cracker shrink in the middle. Just simple old things.
That seems very Kentucky cool to me. Like
it
yeah,
kind of is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my stepmother, it was an artist, and she was from Bowling Green, and so when we went there, I just sensed something that
It's just kind of simple.
yeah,
Simple pleasures. Like I did a Instagram reel not long ago about my Kentucky fish and chips. It's putting caviar on a potato chip, but it just takes the pretense out of it.
yeah.
with
Well,
the
I think
bellinis
that's
and
like a thing, though, isn't it?
Well, we've always done it,
Oh, okay.
and I literally call it Kentucky fish and chips and have it with bourbon instead of, champagne and caviar. Come to Kentucky.
But you
you'll
can
have-
also buy those little pancakes because when I
well,
was in
that's the
Caspia,
bellinis.
yeah, the bellinis.
I'm talking true Lay's potato chips.
Okay,
Though
love
not
it.
Lay's, but something a little stronger than Lay's. But anyway, there's all sorts
Well,
of
you
ways to
can't
make
help
unique.
yourself but seem elegant.
Well, you're
Yeah,
sweet.
and I think that's probably, but I just feel so like it's fortuitous that I'm looking on Instagram and then I look into you and then talk to your assistant
Yeah.
and that you came. So,
I'm thrilled to be here.
well,
Have me back anytime. I love Atlanta.
yeah, Atlanta's, I'm from DC and I was telling our last guest that when I moved here, I thought it was all strip malls and fake boobs,
Yeah,
but it's that too.
it is that too. I was going to say, I've seen a few examples of both.
People live very well here.
Yeah.
And the currency is beauty.
Yeah.
more than Washington, which was more
Yeah,
like how many master's degrees do
and
you
who
have
you
and
know.
who you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it could be a little who you know here too, but
Yeah,
there's a niceness to how people live and how kind people are. And I definitely have found that I've met so many interesting people.
don't
That's
forget
what,
the Southern thing. Southern thing is big.
yeah.
There's something the South has, I cannot articulate it. I think it's just hospitality, genuine love for people.
Do you think that's gonna get ruined?
I think as everything changes and communities are changing because everybody's so transient now, I think it's just gonna get watered down. A lot of us grew up in the cities with our parents and grandparents.
Hmm.
That's not happening anymore. Look
No,
at my kids.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And I'm not even Southern, but
Yeah.
when I went back to Washington, because my son's applying to colleges, he also looked at American University, but he really wants to go to SMU.
Yeah.
And
Good school.
and I just really realized I'm like, I think I'm Southern now.
Uh-huh, you are. It's contagious.
It,
Anyway, it's a
it
good thing.
it is. Well, thank you so much for coming.
I loved it. You're right by Bilbicay. That would be my next stop.
Yeah, good.